Yeah, so I think that we already covered the inflation part when Dan told us about the expectation of inflation, but now I'm asking you from your position in Mastercard, how is Mastercard's business impacted by rising prices at the local level, but also globally, because you are a global company?
So first of all, I just want to say hello. From my position in the company, I think that's something very abstract from my title. So I just wanted to say I'm Mihai, and I'm the person who is leading the consulting services of Mastercard in Romania, Croatia, Israel, and Bulgaria. So if there's anything regarding consulting, data, analytics, that's with me. So that's why and from where I'm speaking to you today. Now to your question. Mr. Buksha actually said some very, very interesting things today, so I want to say thank you for that. And one of the things that he said, and I see the same thing in our data, is that indeed the spend of our clients did not go the way that we expected them to. So as he said, a few years ago, it all went down, and everyone stopped and said, okay, we need to be more, let's say, more attentive to the way that we're actually spending, so we should stop spending, we should start cutting costs and so on. Right now we're seeing two things. One thing is that indeed the sentiment is not the same. They're still doing transactions. That's firstly. And secondly, we're seeing at least a small increase in average tickets. Okay. Because of course, it's inflation, people are spending the same, the prices are higher, of course, average tickets will go up. But at the same time, we're also seeing increases in average number of transactions. So people are taking their cards more from their pockets and using them. So we see two shifts. We see people coming from cash to card, and this is from back in 2020, digitization, COVID, everything. You know the story. But now we're also seeing those trends staying with us, but also the price is increasing. So from an inflation perspective, 2022 so far, I wouldn't say it was a great year, but it was a year that we grew, and it was a year that we stayed in the lines of what we promised our shareholders. Now, looking future banking summit, so let's talk 2023, where we are continuously trying to bring transactions, to making them secure and bringing them to the card. So stopping cash, moving them to card, allowing the infrastructure to be there, incentivizing the transactions to happen so that business can go further.
What would you recommend to Mastercard's partners so they can better respond to inflation too, and these challenges in general?
This is a question that will take more than 12 minutes, but I'll try to summarize that. So clients for us are two things. Clients are the end consumers. You are one of our clients. You are someone that hope has a Mastercard card in their pocket. And the clients are everyone in this room that we work with. These are our partners. When I would say clients from now on, I would especially mean our partners, because these are the people who we are working with day to day. So one of the things that I would say is allow your own partners to help you through the things you need in the next few months. Like one of the things that we talk about inflation, right? One of the biggest topics now, it's inflation. One of the things that we do as Mastercard is we have a think tank. It's called Mastercard Institute. And Mastercard Institute does macroeconomic analyses and recommendations. And they come into, how should I put this? They're complementary to what banks are already doing through their own economists. So all the data that the banks are gathering and analyzing, and we're coming on top of that and giving them either validation or extra data that we have through our transactional network. So that's one thing. Allow us to help in case you need that kind of help.
Yeah, because you have an extra layer, the payment infrastructure, and you know all the data from all the banks.
Yes, and I expect the first thing people to think, okay, but you have data, but NBR has data, right? The National Bank has data. We know how much money is being spent through cards. We know how many cards there are in the market. Yes, we have, or you have access to the high-level data. We have access to the granular ones. We know patterns. We know whether or not the clients are spending so that they're saving, or they're actually spending let's say, normally, right? We know whether or not the spendings, I'll give you an example. In inflationary times, not this time, but in general in inflationary times, you will see the pattern of spend staying the same or rising right before a fall. And the pattern of transactions is different. It's usually you increase groceries and fuel, and you will go down in things like holidays, I don't know, luxury goods, eating out, these kind of things. And this is data that we have. In this time around, and this is something that we can supply to our partners, is basically we can say, look, actually right now, although we have the little growth right before what we would expect to be a fall, we don't necessarily predict the fall because the spend pattern is actually the same. The growth is only the inflation, not the difference in spend patterns. So this is the kind of things that we can help our partners with. So I'm giving an example here.
You would know if a recession comes before NBR?
I wouldn't say that, and I will never assume that we know something that the NBR doesn't. But we do see patterns, and we do have data analytics that can predict, to a certain degree, things in the future.
Okay, got it. So unfortunately, we all know that we have a war going on near our borders. I was curious, how did Mastercard react to the geopolitical crisis, and what action did the company take in the context of the Ukrainian crisis? Because you also have operations there, so.
The war in Ukraine is a very unfortunate thing, so let's start with that. We take that out of the question. There's three ways that we reacted, and I would say very fast. And from maybe HR will say they will be very happy with me, but I'm very proud that I'm working for a company that reacted so well in this. We did three things: globally, locally, and globally, regionally, and locally. Globally, we had heard and actually moved quickly when the international regulatory authority said, look, we need to stop transactions in Russia, we need to stop letting inflow of money go in, go out. And we did it quickly. We didn't even think about, oh, business is going to go down. No, we need to do this. This needs to be done. So that's, let's say, globally. Regionally, we had a lot of initiatives across all the countries that are next to Ukraine to welcome and, let's say, facilitate the economic transition of these refugees. Because especially for the ones that, I'm not sure whether or not you realize, but a lot of the Ukrainians that came in are Ukrainians that had, how we would say, ban la saltea, and coming into Romania, they had to exchange the money and start living as a citizen or a tourist in Romania. I wouldn't say tourist is not the proper word, but someone coming into Romania. So they had to exchange the money. There wasn't a way to do it. Some of the banks did offer them exchange liquidity, but if they would have had the infrastructure in place from the beginning, having cards, because in Romania we have a good acceptance infrastructure, this would have not been a problem. And this made their integration or transition even more difficult. So one of the things that we did regionally was try to get them the vehicles, the payment vehicles, to actually get their life together as soon as they reach whatever destination it is that they reach until this is over, be it Romania, be it other countries in the West. And thirdly, locally. Mastercard put in, so we have this security, very good security protocol within Mastercard where we immediately reacted with our colleagues. We had hundreds of employees both in Ukraine and hundreds of employees in Russia, and we reacted immediately. Immediately we had an evacuation plan for them. We knew exactly what we wanted to I mean, we knew the people that need to be involved to have a response. We found a response quickly for our Russian team. We found a response quickly for our Ukrainian team. Some of them managed to get out of Ukraine before they called the mobilization in Ukraine. Yep. And for those that did not, we offered them the option to, and gave them the option to either be a refugee in their own country somewhere else or stay and whatever they wanted to do. Some of them actually went to fight. So we supported them in that.
Mhm. On a different note, but actually very connected to the crisis, the digitized world is also more dangerous, and not just because of war. How do you fight the cybersecurity threats during these times?
So, cybersecurity is something that it's a topic that it's coming up, and I think it's one of the topics that I would like to hear more about during the Future Banking Summit. Cybersecurity has become so overlooked in everything that we do because we take a lot of things for granted. We take security for granted. We take passwords for granted. Number one password in the world is still password. So all these things that we take for granted are being exploited right now. We're being exploited for financial gains, political gains, etc. It's more than one. What we do for our partners, and I'm referencing our partners, what we do is we provide cybersecurity solutions that are not necessarily connected to cards. So Mastercard is not a card company, Mastercard is a technology company. We do things outside of cards, surprisingly. So what we do is we actually offer cybersecurity solutions. We do stress tests. We have a product that, for example, gives you a monetary equivalent of your cybersecurity threats. So in case, I don't know, the boards of your companies say, okay, but cybersecurity you can't put a price tag on it, and I don't understand it. Well, now you can. We can tell you what the price tag is. And we have these kind of products, and I am presenting these products to our partners, and I urge them, and we have projects already in Romania, and I urge them to use them as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Especially that a lot of them are, and I'm going back to what Mr. Buksha said earlier, some companies in these kind of times, they buy, we buy. We bought cybersecurity companies, we bought marketing companies, we bought quite a lot of things in the past few months. I don't know, because the time was right.
Okay, got it. It was also a word that we used here before, so I'm thinking that Antoneta mentioned the word, and also Roxana about sustainability. So I was curious, what can you tell me about your efforts for a more sustainable future, especially in the financial service industry?
I believe we talked about cybersecurity, so this is definitely future banking topic. This is 3 to 5 years important. Companies need to start thinking, if they haven't yet, and continue thinking if they have, to protect themselves. That's one trend that we need to talk about. Second trend is sustainability. We've seen already all the implications of climate change. We're seeing everything, and sustainability, by the way, sustainability for the UN is not just eco, right? We're not talking just trees and fresh air and so on. Sustainability means everything that makes life sustainable, including eradication of poverty. It includes education. It includes all these things, right? So it's not just eco. On sustainability, Mastercard has two things. One that we do ourselves. We are proudly being recognized as one of the most sustainable companies in the world in numerous rankings by the fact that we're pushing sustainable products. We're pushing, and of course the first thing you'll think is, yeah, but you're plastic cards. Yes, we are. That is true. We're trying to move from plastic cards. We're trying to become digital first, digital only. Don't have a card, have your phone. You have a phone, use it for payments. We're pushing, if you really, really need a card, we're pushing sustainable cards. We're pushing cards from for recyclable plastic. We're pushing cards from other materials like wood, something that can be recycled. And we're also helping our clients define their own strategy in terms of sustainability. And again, not a cards company, tech company. We do these things for our clients. We've had numerous projects as consultants in CE where we advised our clients on their sustainability strategy, and not just the payments and retail, but everything. We've done projects for the entire sustainability strategy of a bank, including mortgages, including savings, including investments, everything, absolutely everything. Apart from that, we do tech. So we have a thing called Labs. Labs is our in-house let's call them the tech guys. And the tech guys is this really cool 100, 200 person team that sits in San Francisco, and they do prototypes of anything basically. And they ideate and they create any kind of prototypes that you could imagine. So we're not talking banking necessarily. Like recently we did, I don't know, EV charging, just to give you an example. And we do, with these guys, we do a lot of sustainability, tech applications and implementations for our clients. So if there's anything that you would find that you want to talk about sustainability but don't have the resources, no worries, we have the resources, it's fine. So just talk to us about it.
Got it. Oh, the time is up, so we ran out of time, but I will have time for one more question from the audience. I see there a gentleman that has a question. Here.
Okay, thank you. Nice to see a Mastercard representative on the stage. I am Lucențiu Roman, representing Credex Romania. And I have a question to you. I heard you stating two things. First, Mastercard is a technology company, which is true. And second, Mastercard is an enabler, not a card provider, right? I see on the stage, right behind you, a big word saying fintech. And I'm looking at you guys, especially the technology guys from San Francisco, as the ones that should enable the transition from cards to some other payment instruments. And you know the substitute already. You already mentioned that Mastercard bought some companies. I don't want to mention. I know some of them. So what is your plan to provide migration from actually, let's say, already traditional payment instruments, regardless if they're virtual, card-based, phone-based, or whatever, into PSD2, PSD3, PSD whatever, name it open banking? Thank you.
That's a very, very good question with so many implications that I will try to sum it up in a nutshell. The strategy of Mastercard, so let's put this as a motto for everything. The strategy of Mastercard is to enable any kind of transactions. And yes, we started off with payments. We are the stamp that is on your cards. We are transitioning to becoming digitally enabling all transactions. So we're talking wearables, we're talking phones and so on. And for Romania, and this is I need to stress this for Romania, and this is let's say a bow to everyone in this room, is that Romania actually, from an infrastructure and from a digital enablement perspective, we're not that bad. We're actually quite good. I mean, the fact that we have so many banks with so many wallets enabled, the fact that we have a good penetration, the fact that we have digital transactions. I'll have my colleague later, who is our digital director, and he will tell you more about this. We have so many things that are working for us right now. Now, to your question, because I know this is just, let's say, baseline. To your question, we have bought companies that are not in the payment or in the card rails. Like we have Vocalink in the UK, which is an ACS. This is a way for us to be and to offer our clients whatever payment infrastructure needs they have. You don't want to use cards, we do have an alternative for you. We want you to be as happy and, let's say, as integrated with your strategy as possible, and we want us to be your partner in whatever payment needs you have. You want to do it through ACS, you want to do it through card payments, whatever. We want to be there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mihai, for being here and for answering the questions.
Thank you.